Listen to this week's affirmation for self-healing. Renunciation. Renunciation means turning one's back on non-essentials, that we may give our whole attention to the Lord. We might think of renunciation as an investment, which initially may seem a loss, but in time becomes multiplied to many times its original worth. The least gift that we give to God will return to us in divine blessings 1,000-fold. Renunciation means nothing less than the gift to God of oneself. Renunciation is of the heart. It isn't what you wear or the outward rules you follow. When you renounce all for God, you hold that renunciation as a precious secret between you and Him. All your desires, all your ambitions are for Him alone. So we'll repeat this affirmation in a loud voice, commanding the attention of the conscious mind. I spurn the tempting magic of this world.
I spurn the tempting magic of this world.
With its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst.
With its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst.
See where I fly.
See where I fly.
High above the tall mountains.
High above the tall mountains.
I am free. I am free.
I am free. I am free.
And now in a more conversational tone. I spurn the tempting magic of this world. With its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst.
With its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst.
See where I fly.
See where I fly.
High above the tall mountains.
High above the tall mountains.
I am free. I am free.
I am free. I am free.
And now taking it inward in a whisper. I spurn the tempting magic of this world. With its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst. See where I fly. High above the tall mountains. I am free. I am free. And now in silence, taking it even deeper into the subconscious. I spurn the tempting magic of this world. With its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst. See where I fly high above the tall mountains. I am free. I am free. And now bringing your awareness to the point between the eyebrows with rising aspiration. Searing this message into the super-conscious mind in deep silence. I spurn the tempting magic of this world with its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst. See where I fly, high above the tall mountains. I am free. I am free. I spurn the tempting magic of this world with its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst. See where I fly, high above the tall mountains. I am free. I am free. Prayer. Lord, help me to see that in no outward experience will I ever find fulfillment. All that my heart has ever sought awaits me in Thee.
And now we'll have our reading from Rays of the One Light.
weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Ananda. Self-effort, too, is needed. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. These past weeks, we have discussed the need for balancing self-effort with receptivity to divine grace. Both are important in the spiritual life. Passive dependence on grace hasn't the magnetism to attract grace. Boastful self-confidence, however, which closes itself off from the higher divine power, is shallow, brittle, and, given life's many uncertainties, susceptible to ultimate failure. There is a story in the Bible that illustrates the need to put forth personal effort so as to draw magnetically on the divine power. The story occurs in the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 8. But as he went, the crowds nearly suffocated him. Among them was a woman who had had a hemorrhage for 12 years and who had derived no benefit from anybody's treatment. She came up behind Jesus and touched the edge of his cloak. As a result, her hemorrhage stopped immediately. "Who was it who touched me?" Jesus asked. When everyone denied it, Peter remonstrated, "Master, the crowds are all round, pressing you on every side." But Jesus said, "Somebody touched me. I felt power going out from me." When the woman realized that she had not escaped notice, she came forward, trembling, and fell at his feet, and admitted before everyone why she had touched him, adding that she had been instantaneously cured. "Daughter," Jesus said, "it is by your faith that you have been healed. Go in peace." Self-confidence and self-effort are necessary, as the ignition of a car is necessary to the motor. Of what use the ignition, however, if the motor itself will not work? Wise is he who recognizes the real power in the universe and guides his life by that supreme power. As it says in Bhagavad Gita, the 9th chapter, "To those who meditate on me as their very own, ever united to me by incessant worship, I make good their deficiencies and render permanent their gains. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind."
From Whispers from Eternity, this is a prayer demand for self-realization. O cosmic vibration, reverberate through me as the cosmic intelligent sound. Teach me to find in thee the presence of the reflected Christ consciousness. O holy vibration, lead me to intuit that Christ in thee. O omnipresent cosmic sound of Om, reverberate through me and expand my consciousness from this body to the whole universe. Teach me to feel in thee thy all-permeating perennial bliss of the Supreme Spirit. So today we explore self-effort. When I was 3 weeks old, I started to throw up projectile vomit across the room, and I had to get surgery, a pyloric stenosis. And after the surgery, I had a really, really big infection. And the priest came to give me my 5 rites, or 3 rites, the death last rites. I think he came 5 times. And my grandpa came and just collapsed because I looked so horrid. And the doctor said to me, don't give up, said to everybody, don't give up yet. She has a very, very strong will. And I think about that over the years, like when that story would come up, it would always be the doctor saying, she has a really strong will. And I know that that was imprinted in me. And then in 4th grade, there was a contest at school. Miss Sullivan said, whoever does this project and wins gets to be a teacher for the day. And I was like, I want to be a teacher for the day so bad. And so we did the project, which was a history project. You had to design a bulletin board. And I did it with everything I had, with the greatest effort that I had. And I won the contest. And that day, I dressed up in this, this little girl with I had the suit on, and I embodied the teacher. And I taught the class their little lesson for the day. And then I inspected them all and walked around and looked at their worksheet. And then finally there was Joe Fonseca, and I looked at his paper and I was like, you need to put more effort into this. This is unacceptable. And I put the paper down, and the teacher in the back of the room just burst out laughing. And I don't remember what happened for there, but I just remember, at first, as that little baby, we want to survive, right? And then we want to thrive, right? And we really want to do good in this world. And then I thought about Spiritual Renewal Week just last month. And one of my favorite parts of it is that Ram and I stayed at Ram's house with a few other people, and him and I would get up every morning and we would go to the 2-hour meditation. And there was hundreds of people in the meditation temple, and it was so powerful. It was like just being lifted. It was so effortless because everybody there was tuned in, and there was the room was filled with such deep peace. And at one point, my heart had just burst open. And I had remembered, in the last year after my mom passed, there was a real separateness in my family and a real betrayal that happened. And it was really breaking my heart. But when my heart opened, I looked around the room and I saw all the like-minded souls. I saw family, my spiritual family, in so many ways. And something happened. My heart healed in that moment. Something happened where I could let it go and I could see the divine blessings of this spiritual family. And what I really wanted in life was to grow, and that, this silver lining was essential, and what needed to happen was a karmic thing that needed to happen for my own personal growth and strength. And I felt so free. And so that little baby was trying to survive. The little girl was trying to thrive, but then the adult in me wants to truly be alive. I want to truly live. I want to truly live. I want to have the courage to pull on Jesus's cloak, and heal all the parts of myself that don't work, that are angry and scared and old behaviors and ways of seeing the world or thinking about myself. I want to have the courage to grab onto that cloak and to really see the opportunities to be alive and awake in this world. But it takes great, great effort, and it takes great courage. In Autobiography of a Yogi, Yogananda had put so much effort. He came to the United States and he put so much effort teaching, writing. He knew from his line of gurus that Jesus asked Babaji, to ask Lahiri, for Sri Yukteswar, help us to find someone who's going to put great effort into bringing to all the world, any truth seeker, a way out of delusion, a way out of ego consciousness, a way to truly become alive. And Yogananda dedicated his whole life to that. And at the very end of Autobiography of a Yogi, he was asked, tell me truly, Paramhansa Ji, has it been worth it? This laconic question was put to me one evening by Dr. Lloyd Kennel, a leader of the SRF Church in San Diego. I understood what him to mean. Have you been happy in America? What about the disillusionments, the heartache, the center leaders who could not lead, the students who could not be taught? Blessed is the man whom the Lord does test, I answered. He has remembered now and then to put a burden on me. I thought then of all the faithful ones, of the love and devotion and understanding that illuminates the heart of America. With slow emphasis, I went on. But my answer is yes, 1,000 times yes. It has been worthwhile. Every effort. More than ever, I dream to see East and West brought closer in the only lasting bond, the spiritual. And his last words were, Lord, you have given this monk a very large family. Remember the Footprints poem where the author asked God, where were you? I look back at my life, and at the times, the biggest tests, the times that I really needed you, I look back and I only see one footprint in the sand. And God answers, I was carrying you, my love. I was carrying you. We forget that. We forget how carried and how loved and how supported we are in every moment, that we have a dynamic force of an army of light beings trying to help us to stay in the awake, to move past survival and thriving, to go beyond that. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to carry God from now on. I'm going to carry God in my heart. I'm going to carry him in my mind, and I'm going to let go of all the other burdens that I'm carrying. I'm going to stop carrying all the resentments and the unforgiveness and the pain and the fear, and I'm just going to carry God. And I think it's all of our invitation today. I think that's what it's all about for us, that we've all received this invitation, to renew our efforts for spiritual growth. It's the only thing that makes this world worthwhile, as we learned, It's like the rainbow bubbles burst, right? And it's like, no, there's more to it. There's more to it than just, thriving. Oh, look at this, and look what I've achieved, But the bottom line is, our spiritual success is a necessity. The most important quote in the A.Y. said Yogananda, Autobiography of a Yogi, is, forget the past. The vanished lives of all people are dark with many, many shames until we're anchored in the divine, but really anchored. Make a spiritual effort now, and everything in the future will improve. That's the promise of the great masters, of God, of Divine Mother, of the Blessed Mother, of Buddha, of all the great, great masters. And so in the reading today, we said, it said we must put forth our spiritual effort to draw on divine power. If we want to feel the power of the beloved, if we want to feel true power in this world, true confidence, we have to draw on that and create a magnetism within us. And in the Gita, I make good the deficiencies, and remember, to those who meditate in me as their very own, I make good their deficiencies and render permanent gains. And this is living in the awake, living in the aliveness, living in our highest potential. Yogananda talked about he said he had an incredible, beautiful experience of truly awakening. He said, my soul and my mind lost their physical bondage and streamed out like fluid, piercing light from my every pore. And in my intense awareness, I know that never before have I been fully alive. So spiritual effort is so crucial for self-realization, for enlightenment, for union with the beloved. It entails a combination of personal effort, the Guru's grace, and God's grace. Yogananda came up with a formula for spiritual success, and he said it takes 25% effort of the devotee, 25% effort of the Guru, and 50% of Divine Mother or God. But in that formula, we have to give it our all. We have to give everything. We have to keep showing up and showing up. Nayaswami, Maria had told a story about a good friend of hers just wrote her and said, I've just kind of given up. I've stopped my practices. I just feel like I don't have the faith anymore. It's like life kind of took over. It just kind of dried up, And Nayaswami, Maria just, said, like, every day can be an opportunity for renewal. Like, what can we do? And I remember what Erin said at Spiritual Renewal Week. You can listen to her talk online, but she said, just show up. Show up for your morning meditation. show up for service, show up for each other, show up to, in any way, just showing up. It takes that energy that comes from showing up is what will draw us more and more and get us over those difficult humps where the resistance, the ego is fear. Because, you know, it's like when we first get that wake-up call, the ego is like, becomes afraid we're gonna lose. It's gonna lose. It needs to create resistance and fear and doubt to block us from really, but we're stronger than that. And today we're remembering that. This is a reset day for all of that. So there are 5, when we have sincere effort, we realize our spiritual aspirations, but there are 5 steps to self-realization that Yogananda talked about. And the first one is self-righteousness, right? And that happens when we first start waking up, that beautiful blessing of waking up, and we start feeling like, oh my God, there's always gonna be like that. We have experiences, and we just feel like there's something, our consciousness is just wide open, and it's renewed. And then what happens is we say like, well, I'm so aware. Well, I'm a yogi and they're not. And you know, we start creating a separateness. Our ego starts to take over. This greatest blessing of awakening, and yet our ego tries to deter us so that we won't keep putting in that spiritual effort that's needed to keep moving through the stages of awakening. And so it pushes back. And how do we respond? There's a story of a new disciple of Yogananda's, and Yogananda was talking about the spiritual eye, and this Agni chakra, you know, at the frontal lobe. If you take pictures of the frontal lobe of someone depressed or anxious, that grid is all darkened. But if you start to meditate and bring that energy up to that cortex, right? That what is it? That right here, the prefrontal cortex, yeah. And so when that happens, that energy, all of that anxiety and depression erases, and that's it. But we have to do it with deep concentration and go into the expansion part. And so Yogananda was talking about this power that we each have within us to either see like this or lift it up, right? I can see this situation from this eye, these eyes, or this eye. And when thy eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. The light of truth will shine through us. And so this disciple prayed and prayed, please, you know, Divine Mother, could I please understand what this spiritual eye is all about? I don't really get it. Yogananda is talking about it, and I don't really get it. And he prayed with such strong effort and conviction that he received this divine gift and felt this incredible light, this expansion from the spiritual eye as he went out and felt the whole universe tuned into the divine source, the enlightened, amazing beingness of who he truly was. And in every encounter for 3 days, he felt so much peace and harmony. There was a clarity of consciousness, a joy, a beauty, in everything he experienced. And then it waned at the end of 3 days. And Yogananda said to him, you saw that beautiful light. You get a taste of what you can have, but now you need to use great effort to stay there permanently. And now the hard work begins. This is our perseverance, right? This is the effort and perseverance that it really takes to bring light into our whole life and to keep it there, the staying power. Self-honesty is the second step on our journey towards self-realization, towards awakening. And that's sincere ownership of everything that comes to us. It's like to clear karma. We stop projecting. We stop being lame, blame. You know, that blame of, oh, it's because of this or it's because of this. And, oh, look at that person is like that. It's just projection. Anything we see in another is what we're unwilling to own within our own self, right? So we take complete ownership for all of it. We call in a capacity to have response instead of reactivity in the world and go back inside. The answers are in there. They're not out there. And we realize that when we have self-honesty. I love a sign at Kripalu on the stairs. It says, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. My situation, your situation, they're all different. Yet each one of us, the more we want to awaken, the courage comes. And God and Source and Divine Mother, they know when we really want this, when we're putting everything we have into it, that willpower, that's when Divine Mother knows she can give us tests, and this is how we grow. It's like lifting weights. We put on more weight and we get stronger and stronger. So Divine Mothers puts the weight on our barbell. And so there's a beautiful story of a disciple that Yogananda lived with at 21 Palms, and he was building a retreat center, and Yogananda said, listen, we really need to get that slab in right near the gate of concrete. Can you do that? And he said, sure, I'll do it in the morning. And I said, no, you're going to do it now. And he's like, okay. And he's like, it's almost getting dark out. So he goes, he has to mix it by himself. He gets the wheelbarrow, he starts pack, and then it gets fully dark. And he's like, I can't finish this. There's no way. I can't see. And he started to just feel doubt, and Yogananda set him up, and like, what's going on here? And, you know, I wasn't here to come put concrete down. I was here to meditate and learn and know God, you know. When he became that complainer, that doubter, that ego started to kick in, and then all of a sudden, the full moon appeared and lit up the whole sky, and he could finish his job, and he laid that cement, and he was tested, you know, in that darkness, that despair that he went into, not remembering that light of the full moon is always there. The light within us is always there in every dark time. And he had to honestly look at his own doubt and fear. And this is how we are tested, and how do we put out effort with even-mindedness more and more. When we can do that with a calm even-mindedness, that effort begins to really make some big changes. Self-acceptance. That's the third stage of self-realization. This is when we truly get on our side. We control the reactive process. And there's a story of a saintly pilot, and he's on this mission of goodwill or Godwill and a small plane. And he's going through this storm, and it's a mighty storm, and it's so big, but he has such courage, and he just holds on tight, and he goes through that storm until all of a sudden it just opens up. And the sky is clear. And in that moment, he felt a huge sense of relief. And he looked, to his dismay, there's a big fat rat eating a wire that was essential for him to land on the plane. What does he do now? He tries to maneuver, he tries to get it off, he tries to shake it off, but nothing happens. He takes it up. He takes it all the way up to an atmosphere that rat could not survive. It dropped, and then he was into the clearing, and then he was able to fly again. Self-acceptance. Raise our consciousness. Yogananda said, the moral of that story was a true devotee can overcome every difficulty by lifting his mind to higher consciousness. In meditation and in God presence, delusion loses its grip on our minds. Raise your consciousness, overcome discouragement and bad habits. So the fourth one is self-forgetfulness, and that's a lot to do with nishkan kama. That's doing things without the thought of what's in this for me. You know, what am I going to get out of this? It's really giving from a pure state of beingness. And a student asked his guru, when will I become enlightened? When will I become self-realized? If I put great effort into my meditation practice and service, when will that be? And the guru went inside and said, 10 years. Pretty good, he said, right? And then he said, wait a minute, what if I double my efforts? What if I start meditating all day long and do everything I possibly can? Then how long? 20 years. We can't do it that way, right? We have to do it with that sense of even-mindedness, and it's not about the destination. It's like enjoying the journey. It's like doing it with a sense of connection and union with the beloved. So more and more, our sincere efforts, we begin to realize our spiritual aspirations, and we really start to show up for ourselves in new ways. And so when we make that commitment, we really realize that we're part of what's called the unified field, that there's no separateness between me and you, that we share the same heart, the same mind, the same soul. We're all in this together. We're part of the unified field, and we are a part of all that is. So I can't hurt you without hurting me, you know? So that self-forgetfulness, it's like we just give all we can to everyone from a place of pure consciousness and forget that little self, that ego self. Disidentify with it. Identify with that big capital S, self of self-realization. Number 5, it is a deep knowing that we are connected to the divine, that we live in omnipresence, and the ego is not our true self. It's an inward journey of our divine nature, knowing in all parts of body, mind, and soul that you are now in possession of the kingdom of the divine. This is our birthright. This is our life purpose. This is our story and our journey home. Amen. We'll have our offering now.
Please take what